Hey everybody, this is Ryan McClanahan with historythroughcards.com. Hope you're all doing very well today. So I came across a really interesting article about Steve Van Buren, and it was about a lawsuit that he was involved in with Panini of all things. And Steve Van Buren last played in like 1952. This is a 1952 Bowman. It's actually one of my favorite cards in the set. And I know I say that about every card in the 1952 Bowman football set, but it actually is true. Like every card in that set is like my favorite, and I love the 51 and 1950 as well. The artwork is absolutely amazing. Um, I read this article about Steve Van Buren, and I was like, you know what? I think this is something that I'd like to share with you guys, but just reading the article alone, it's not going to tell you who Steve Van Buren really is. And so he unfortunately passed away in 2012, and I did read his Irish sports page, and so I am going to read that to you guys as well, and it'll give you a nice overview of Steve Van Buren's life and his playing career. And I thought that would be a very nice touch. Uh, he is probably one of the greatest Eagles of all time, and the original article that I wanted to share with you is well, it's a little strange. It's kind of like leads up to a lawsuit, and I'm not entirely sure where I found this thing or first heard about it, but once I started to dive into it, um, it it kind of bothers me for a lot of reasons, and I'm going to tell you guys exactly what about it bothers me at the very end of the video here. So let's get into this. I think you're going to find it really interesting. Here we go. This is from the Philadelphia Daily News, May 6th, 2010. Eagles great Van Buren sues trading card company by Gloria Campisi. Fabled Eagles running back Steve Van Buren has taken plenty of hits in his time, but this one was low down and really dirty, he said in a lawsuit that came to light yesterday. In the suit filed Friday in U.S. District Court in Philadelphia, Van Buren, 89, accuses Panini America Inc., successor to Donruss Playoff LP, of putting out unauthorized trading cards using not only his name but his signature on strips of stolen, canceled checks. Officials at Panini America, a division of an Italian-based publisher of sports and entertainment collectibles, could not immediately be reached for comment. Panini America took over from Donruss last year, according to the suit. The suit didn't accuse anyone of stealing the canceled checks. It simply says that the defendant manufactured and sold trading cards in 2007 and 2009 containing Van Buren's name, likeness, and signature. Further, it states that the 2009 Van Buren Classic Cuts card, embossed with the Donruss Classics logo, contains swatches of stolen canceled checks signed by Van Buren. The swatch of the stolen canceled check displays Van Buren's blue ink signature, according to the suit. Van Buren's blank routing numbers are clearly visible on the cards, it said. The card was released in 2009 without Van Buren's authorization or knowledge, according to the suit. An attorney representing Van Buren, who lives in Lancaster County, said it isn't clearly known how many of the cards are sold. Unfortunately, this is only one of the types of issues that retired NFL players face, said the attorney, Hara K. Jacobs. Van Buren, a Pro Football Hall of Famer who played for the Eagles from 1944 to 1951 and led them to 2 championships, has been called the greatest Eagles running back ever by Professional Football Hall of Fame sports writer Ray Didinger. Donruss also had legal problems with Major League Baseball, according to the Van Buren suit. And just last month, it said, The estate of film legend Gene Kelly filed suit saying Donruss had issued trading cards which purport to contain a swatch of material worn by Gene Kelly. Donruss had published unlicensed Van Buren cards in 2006, but at the request of the National Football League Players Inc., Van Buren agreed to allow the company to use his pictures of himself. However, 12 were used, and according to the suit, Donruss put out more unauthorized Van Buren cards in 2007 as well. No amount of damages was specified. This is from the Philadelphia Inquirer, August 24th, 2012. Steve Van Buren, Eagles great, dies by Jeff McLean. Steve Van Buren, 91, one of the greatest Eagles in franchise history, a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and the fearless running back on the Birds' 1948 and 1949 NFL championship teams, died Thursday evening, the team announced. Mr. Van Buren died of pneumonia in Lancaster, according to the Eagles. On the field and off, as a player, as a leader, and a man, Steve Van Buren embodied the finest characteristics of our city and our sport, Eagles owner Jeff Lurie said in a statement. He was a friend and an inspiration to generations of fans and the model of what an Eagle should be. Mr. Van Buren was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio in 1965. He was the first Eagles player elected to the Hall. In 1994, he was selected to the NFL's 75th anniversary team. He won 4 rushing titles and was a 5-time All-Pro. Nicknamed Wham Bam for his quick and punishing running style, according to an Eagles release, Mr. Van Buren finished his career with 5,860 rushing yards and 77 touchdowns. Watch those old films and you know that Steve Van Buren was something special, Eagles coach Andy Reid said in a statement. He was special in person too, humble about his own accomplishments and encouraging to others. His memory will be with the Eagles fans for as long as this team takes the field. The Eagles selected Mr. Van Buren out of Louisiana State in the first round of the 1944 draft. He helped turn the franchise into a perennial winner. The Eagles won 3 straight division titles and back-to-back NFL titles in 1948 and 1949, the only time a team posted consecutive shutouts in championship play. With Mr. Van Buren in the backfield, the Eagles beat the Chicago Cardinals 7-0 at snow-covered Shibe Park for their first crown in 1948, and then blanked the Los Angeles Rams 14-0 at the Coliseum in 1949. A foot of snow blanketed Philadelphia that morning of the 1948 title game. Mr. Van Buren woke up, saw the snow, and went back to bed, but he woke up around an hour later and decided he should head to the stadium. So he took a bus, then a trolley, and finally the Broad Street subway to Lehigh Avenue. I couldn't believe it when I got there and saw that they were going to play, Mr. Van Buren said years later, according to the Eagles Encyclopedia. It was snowing so hard you couldn't see. Mr. Van Buren scored the game's only touchdown on a 5-yard run. The following year, Mr. Van Buren again led the Eagles as he rumbled for 196 yards on 31 carries in the title game victory over the Rams. Mr. Van Buren finished his 8-year career in 1951 as the NFL's all-time rushing leader. He ranks 3rd on the Eagles' all-time list with 5,860 yards and is the only Eagle to finish a season as the NFL's rushing leader. He did it 4 times, 1945, 1947 through 1949. He still holds a number of Eagles records, including rushing yards in a game, 205, against Pittsburgh in 1949. and consecutive games with a rushing touchdown, 8 in 1947. Current Eagles running back LaShawn McCoy eclipsed Mr. Van Buren's mark for touchdowns in a season, 18 in 1945, with 20 in 2011. Inquirer columnist Bill Lyon wrote this in December 2011 about Mr. Van Buren. Seldom has an athlete carried himself with such genuine humility and without a whiff of ego, said Jim Gallagher, who spent 46 years working for the Eagles and is the man you go to when you have a question. The only person who didn't know that Steve was a legend was Steve. Mr. Van Buren remained in Philadelphia area after his retirement. He survived by 3 daughters, 16 grandchildren, and 16 great-grandchildren. So this is shocking for a few reasons. First, there's a really famous case from New York from 1903 called Roberson versus Rochester Box Folding Company, which was the first right of privacy case, and it directly influenced the T206. The players in the T206, they had to sign off on whether or not they wanted their likeness in a baseball card set. That was the first time. And, Panini knew this, because that's been around since 1903. And, by 1909, it was commonplace. The thing is that, there's only maybe like 1 or 2 ball players that actually filed a suit up until 1949 or so, 1950, with their likeness. And one of them was Johnny Mize, and he said, "I don't want my likeness on a card," and he sued in 1941, and he lost his case. I've written about that extensively, and I've done a couple of videos on the right of privacy. What also is really amazing about this, probably more so than the right of privacy cases, because those actually happen more and more in the 1950s, and what I found really interesting here is that you have Steve Van Buren's name or his signature on a check that Panini apparently thought was okay to cut up and put in a card with his personal information from that bank, and that actually could have caused a lot of problems for Steve Van Buren and his family. And to me, it shows an incredible amount of irresponsibility on the part of the company. You can get a lot of 3x5s of Steve Van Buren and other signatures, and it probably wouldn't have been a problem. He did say to the company that, "I don't want my likeness or my signature on any of your products," and as long as he wrote that out and sent it to the company, I don't see that there was a problem there. We don't know if that happened because the lawsuit was settled out of court, as it looks like. And to me, that means either one of 2 things. Panini was overwhelmingly found to be in the wrong, and they knew that they were wrong, and there was so much evidence that was overwhelming that they probably went to Steve Van Buren or his lawyer and said, let's settle this out of court. 90% of all court cases are usually settled out of court before the initial court date, and for various reasons too, not just one. And so that's most likely what happened. What I've found too very disturbing, I think, is that all these card manufacturers, Panini or Don Russ or Leaf or Flair or Topps, what they have done is they've grabbed signatures from all over the place and swaths of fabric, from jerseys that maybe be a one of one, like a one of a kind jersey, and they'll cut it up and they'll put it into their product. And if the jerseys really kind of bother me, because they did this with a 3-finger brown jersey. There's no more of those now because one of the companies bought one from an auction, and it just happened to be the only one known. And then it also happened again with one of Babe Ruth's jerseys, and the Babe Ruth Museum was really, really upset by this. I don't see that it helps the collector at all. If it's a new swath of jersey that's being added, say something that's like maybe 10, 15, maybe even 20 years ago, that's fine. I have no problem with that because there are so many of them. But then once you start going back to, say, the 1920s, 1930s, 40s, even before that, then you're really robbing a lot of people, whether you know it or not, of viewing the actual entire item. A lot of those items, again, are one of a kind, and they should really be in a sports museum, say Cooperstown or Canton. So they're incredibly rare, and it's really the selfishness of the company who's doing this. I have seen, in fact, on a few occasions where the card manufacturer has taken a vintage card with a signature and cut up the card for that signature and put it into their own product. It's kind of like cuckoo nests, really, like cuckoo birds, right? They'll go and they'll land, and they'll kick out the original inhabitants, if you will, and place it with their own. It's kind of like what it seems like. I just think that this was really overboard. And I've seen some really crazy stuff that these card manufacturers have done, and a lot of the stuff is manufactured rarity as well. So they're not particularly rare because of either the economy or because the company went out of business and manufactured only a number of them before they went out of business, or either the player was traded, or he retired, or he passed on, or something like that, or there was a war. So and material goods are very scarce in the production of that card. Say like a 1917 Collins McCarthy, right, or something from like World War II. I'm just saying, Collins McCarthy are out there, but the 1917, we entered World War I in April. So the manufactured rarity is something that really kind of bothers me too. But I really wanted to tell you guys a little bit more about this. He is a Hall of Famer. Obviously, he had an amazing career, and this court case was really interesting. I hadn't heard about it before, and I forget exactly where I heard it first. So I would love to hear what you guys have to say about any of this stuff. If you've seen any really crazy signatures that were cut and put into cards. They did a Geronimo as well. They have a cut signature of Geronimo. One of the problems with that is that Geronimo, he actually signed his signature in print, and in block print basically, and anybody who's anybody can forge that. So there are a lot of forgeries involved in cut signatures as well, and there's a few of them that have actually gone to court. And so I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this. And I'm actually looking forward to the day where I can find a cut signature of the guys from Stone Temple Pilots here. Scott Wieland, I would love to get a signature of his. I did actually get to see Stone Temple Pilots in 2011, and it was awesome. It was fantastic. You never knew which Scott Wieland you would get, the good or the bad. But guys, again, thank you so much for stopping by. I greatly appreciate it, as always. I'd love to get your comments on this. Part of this really bothers me for a lot of reasons that I've just explained, but I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. So until the next time, I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.